What's up, guys? It's our Wrestling Podcast back at you with another episode. This is Dave Vicious along with Justin Little Package and Craig the British Bulldog, bringing you our perspective on the world of professional wrestling. No inside sources, no ties to the industry, just stories from the diehards, sharing opinions with you. Today's topic, Mount Rushmore, NWA-WCW Tag Champions. For audio fans, give us a listen on Apple, Spotify, and iHeartRadio, or watch our videos on YouTube at our wrestling channel. You can also check to the left here for other video options. Give us a
subscribe.
Please give us a follow on Instagram at O.W.P 2018 or on Facebook at Our Wrestling Podcast. It has been a while. We were talking offline, Justin, about doing a Mount Rushmore. It's fun to bring this back. What say you guys?
I love it. To quote Joe,
Yeah,
it's my
yeah.
favorite episode, and I love every time we do it. That's my Joe impression. It doesn't sound like Joe, but whatever. Yeah, so kind of like our television championship one that we did, which got a lot of good feedback, and I really appreciate that. On this one, I'm just going to go ahead and call you guys out on your shit right in the beginning here.
Ooh.
There's one tag team that I know that we're going to have on this mountain, so we're going to automatically put them up there. And this is the WCW/NWA Tag Team Champions. Now, Craig and I talked about this before we hit record too. There's a couple tag teams that you're going to be like, oh, they're from the 70s or whatever. But look, we became wrestling fans in the late 80s. So, like, everyone's Mount Rushmore is going to be different according to the time frame that you became a fan. So I'm going to go ahead and say, I'm going to take a wild guess, and you guys tell me if I'm wrong. I think all of us have this.
No.
Ding
dongs.
Ding dongs.
Brad Armstrong and partner
warmer.
That's the one.
Warmer.
Passenger showing up here.
Getting hot. I'm going to go out on a limb and say that all of us have the Steiner brothers on our Mount Rushmore.
You're ridiculous. Of course. Yeah.
So all three of us. So the Steiner brothers.
Yes.
Just like Arn Anderson on the TV title episode that we did, the Steiner brothers automatically go on our first. So all we're going to do.
Drop that little graphic.
Yep.
Rick and
Scott Steiner. And if people are like, why? Because they won their first tag titles when it was still technically the NWA, and then they would be WCW champions afterwards. And the Steiner brothers really legitly dominated. And I know it was a slower period for WCW in 91, 92. They weren't filling arenas. They were struggling to kind of find their voice or whatever. And Jim Herd sucked. So but Steiner's they went to New Japan. They introduced me to New Japan. You know, in 90, 91, I would see clips of them going over to New Japan, winning the IWGP Championship and having the WCW tag titles. They were awesome. They had a great feud with Anderson and Eaton in 92.
Absolutely dominating.
The Steiner brothers, I should have brought up their fucking stats. I did not. But how many times they held the titles. But they were dominant tag team champions. The Steiner brothers might be the greatest WCW NWA tag team of all time. And I know some people on the NWA side might disagree with that. But when we became fans, it was all about the Steiner brothers. And I know people are shocked that I didn't mention another particular team, which I won't name in case it's on one of our other slots on the Mount Rushmore. But Steiner brothers are going to go on our first mountain. So who wants to go first to finish their mountain?
I'll go.
It's not more than one mountain.
Screw it.
Good.
In no particular order, right? So we have the Steiners. That's a lock already. Looking back at Wikipedia for how many reigns they had and their length of reigns, this is more of a 90s team, but they more than earned this spot, in my opinion. I'm going Harlem Heat for the WCW overall. They were just the go-to. Whenever you needed kind of the rubber needed to get them back, they went through so many phases. Love Harlem Heat. And they're the tag team in my eyes, through the Monday Night Wars, really, of WCW. You can't not pick Tully and Arn, I think. And as Jess said, there's a lot of teams to miss off
so
here.
Tully and Arn, got it. Okay.
Yes. There's a lot of teams
Craig,
to miss
real
off
quick,
here.
I will just interject. I don't mean to interrupt here. They held the WCW, well, I guess it was NWA title back here, 2 times for a combined of 323 days. And I will go back real quick and edit the Steiners. The Steiner brothers held the WCW/NWA tag titles on 7 different occasions for a combined of 523 days.
And then Harlem Heat has 10 with less reign, but 10 titles, I think.
Harlem Heat, yes.
Yeah.
10 titles, 470 days. Yes.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean,
And-
that was a
So
different
Craig,
time
you have
period.
the Steiners, Harlem Heat, sorry, Arn and Tully, and what is your last? I'm sorry, I don't mean to rush
And
you.
then
wanna make
I'm
sure I get it.
going just kind of a little bit of NWA, like it had to be them or Midnight Express, but I think for their fan favorites, their matches, probably the amount of ring rats they got
I know where
in
you're
their
going.
heyday. I did Rock and Roll Express.
Four
Oh, that's better.
reigns with 400 days combined.
Yeah.
And that
Wow.
was all,
During,
I
like-
believe that was all NWA tag titles. They
Yeah.
did not win.
I mean,
when it became WCW.
Yeah. No, and then
Right.
like even just thinking of back when it was completely split before WCW, like Rock and Roll Express were the tag team that got you kind of into NWA, like and just thinking and looking at them like for as kind of cheesy and honestly, like Rockers were a ripoff of Rock and Roll Express.
Yeah,
So
for
homage
sure.
to
Mhm.
homage to
1,000%.
Robert Gibson, who were still around and doing stuff and spots in AEW too. So it's good to see them kind of still doing it, I guess. Yeah,
Right.
much respect. But it's tough, man. There's so many teams not on there. But yeah,
It's hard, and it's not because you start to look at the accolades. And before I get into a duplicate too, going back to the Steiners, just to bring the accolades up that I can find, they're NWA World Tag Champs one time, and then WCW 6 times.
6 times, yeah.
But they're also New Japan Pro Wrestling IWGP champs twice, PWA Tag Champs once, and don't forget they're also a 2-time World Wrestling Federation Tag Team Champions.
and they didn't fight each other for a long, long, long time. I love.
They held out as long as they could.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Dave, go ahead. What's your mountain?
Something to use those together. Yeah, Steiner Brothers. I'm going to duplicate back with Harlem Heat. That is one of my favorite tag teams of all time. They also, if you just want to do best theme music, Mount Rushmore, they have the best theme music in the world. Dun, 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 dun. Craig had a cat named Booker. I believe only had 3 legs and yep, did a spinneroonie and all that. Yep, we missed that kitty. But it does differentiate a little bit from there. I was looking at some stuff, and I thought for sure you were going to say this. I'm like, damn, me and Craig are duplicated on everything, because they actually have their own rule, right? The Fabulous Freebirds have the Freebird rule, where they actually had more than 2 people that could wrestle.
Freebirds, and I love it.
Yeah, the Freebirds are fantastic, and I don't know if they actually. I got to look at the stuff. Jess, you can help me. I don't think they actually won WCW. I think they're all NWA.
No,
for their stuff too.
Well, wait,
did they win one?
No, you're right. Actually, I'm so sorry. Yeah, you're right. They won the title 2 times, and for a combined reign of 134 days. But the Fabulous Freebirds, I will give a little spoiler. They're not on my mountain, but they're one of my personal favorite tag teams.
Yeah, they're awesome. And I know there's something to it
from that 70s, 80s era, like the most
mainly
like
because
the 80s,
they were really well known from WCCW, which is the Fritz von Erich, the Von Erich territory. And that's where they really got most of their heat from, was Terry Gordy, Buddy Roberts, and Michael Hayes. But they won the tag titles with Jimmy Garvin, and I was a fan of Michael Hayes and Jimmy Garvin as the Freebirds. I know the original were not that, but when I came into wrestling and I started watching Crockett, I enjoyed Michael Hayes and Jimmy Jam Garvin. That's a good pull, Dave. What's your last spot on the mountain?
Oh, last one gets kind of tough for me.
Boys, good job, Dave. Oh, sorry, I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's great.
You know what? You're kind of. I don't know if you're that far off. I mean, I still
There's
think
a debate to be had in that, by the way.
There is,
we could spend an hour on it.
At the end too, I will do honorable mentions as well in case none of us mentioned them. So,
because I feel like the NWA doesn't get a good enough run, I think you have to go with the Midnight Express. They had a lot of success back before it became WCW, and you have to think about the tag teams that kind of kept that run going, and they were a big part of that title picture the entire time. It was NWA solidified, right? Midnight Express are all over that thing. So it's not really one of my personal favorites, but I got to put them on the mantle. if that
I mean,
makes
how
sense.
many matches did Rock and Roll and Midnight Express have really?
They
Oh
were.
my God.
They would sell
It was
out
probably-
arenas like Flair would with his main event program, or
for
like
2-3 years,
yeah,
probably.
yeah.
Like that was the
Mhm.
attraction, like every single night. Like,
Yeah, those two would be the under of the whoever Ric Flair is wrestling that night, right? You're right underneath.
Yeah, so we all kind of repeated a lot more. Maybe I should have put like 2 people automatically on the mountain, but obviously it's Steiner Brothers. My second is Arn and Tully, because the Horsemen was so dominant, and on top of that, they were just such a great tag team. They held the titles twice, 323 days, like I mentioned before. I just thought their chemistry was wonderful. Even though Anderson and Tully Blanchard were both amazing singles wrestlers, Anderson was our automatic guy on top of our television title mountain. I put Tully on my Mount Rushmore of TV champions as well. Tully was also U.S. champion. So Tully they both had amazing singles careers, but the tag team, they gelled when they became part of the Horsemen, and those two went together. I was like, man, like they're hard to beat. And then they went on, to be the Brainbusters, which is not relevant for this mountain, but
I was gonna ask you, just a lapse of memory. Did they win the WWF titles as the Brainbusters one time? One time they did, right? Okay,
Yeah.
I thought I wasn't. I don't want to elude me.
They beat Demolition.
That's right. They see, and Vince saw the talent right away. Like those guys.
That's all they really needed was a mouthpiece, like Bobby the Brain Heenan.
Yeah,
they couldn't speak.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
They had right. I mean, really, like it's like Tully Blanchard, Arn Anderson, and they had JJ as their first manager too.
And really, you think about they always had Rick. You always had Rick.
Yeah.
So
my third is again Harlem Heat. I mean, I don't know how you don't, and I know. There is a lot of arguments. You could say that Harlem Heat, when they first won their few, it was during a down period. Like 94, 95, 96 was, before the NWO, was a struggle period for WCW, especially 95. Even though Hogan was there, it didn't matter. But I love their story where Bischoff is like, I need a tag team. I need a base tag team. And Hogan's like, they're right fucking there. Like, these guys are right here. And it was Harlem Heat. And, like, they were big and impressive, and we all know what Booker, and we all latched to Booker. Like, when we saw that team, we were like, Booker's the guy, though.
That's where all the passion was, and it was pretty obvious.
I felt the same way about Booker that I did about Brett because I love the Hart Foundation. They're my personal favorite tag team, and it was because of Brett. And I always thought, God, Brett would be such a great IC champion. And little did I know, in '91 he would go on to.
It was coming.
But Booker, when I saw Harlem Heat, I was like, Booker T is a great singles wrestler, and then he goes on to win.
He's a goddamn star.
He won the television title, and then the U.S. and then the world title, and he was great. So, Harlem Heat is my third choice on there. And then my fourth choice, Dave, you stole my thunder, was Midnight Express because of their feud with the Rock and Roll. I just chose, they're more my style, the Midnight Express. I loved it. Sure. The Midnight Express only held the title one time. But the thing about the Midnight Express was not only their feud with Rock and Roll, but they were the only team in the beginning to hold both the United States tag titles and the NWA World Heavyweight title at the same time, and they defended them for a while. The Steiner brothers would later do the same thing. They were U.S. tag titles, U.S. tag champions, and then they would win the world title later, like a year or two later. But they had to vacate the U.S.
They had to
titles
vacate
right away.
those.
Yeah. But the Midnight Express held them all together, and I'd never seen another tag team do that. And Joe and I have an affinity for the U.S. tag titles because it was special to us because it was a different title than what Vince did. It was just the world tag titles in WWF, but in WCW they weren't afraid to kind of have like the secondary titles, the TV titles, and the U.S. tag titles and U.S. tag.
I never thought about that, like butting up that list of U.S. tag champions versus the NWA-WCW list. Like, I wonder if some people lived more on the U.S. tag titles. Like how many U.S. tag titles did the Midnight Express win? Like, and that's why I didn't. That's why I used Rock and Roll over Midnight, just for the titles.
Well, they have more
kind of thing. But
you probably should.
You don't have Midnight. You don't have Rock and Roll without Midnight.
You probably should have though. Like you were appropriate in putting them on your mountain because the Rock and Roll deserved to be as one of the greatest NWA tag.
Yeah, because they're kind of. I don't say they're one and the same because they are different to Justice Point, but they go together. So when Craig put all that together,
early on when we established this Mount Rushmore, it's really we don't want to kind of follow what we think other people. And I'm not saying you thought everybody would put them on there, but
Sure.
like it's who kind of struck us. It's who kind of reached out
Right.
to us, and I'm like, okay, they got my attention or whatever. So that's why I did.
It could have been completely flipped, right? If they weren't like a heel, if NWA wasn't like a heel champion,
They would have held more. Yeah.
had heel tag team champs probably. Like it could have been completely switched with
Because
Midnight
that territory / belt, that whole thing was always heel chase. That's how they did it there.
Yeah.
And those are white meat baby faces, boy. You ever heard of one?
So all of our mountains are up, and it really kind of takes the easier time. But we duplicated a lot too. But there's a lot of honorable mentions, and this first honorable mention I'm going to make, stat wise, is the greatest NWA tag team ever, and it's the Minnesota Wrecking Crew.
I was looking at them. Yeah,
Gene and Ole Anderson, 7 reigns, 992 days combined. Like, if people grew up in the 70s, they would be all over us right now going, how could you not put the Minnesota Wrecking Crew on there? And they'd be right? If you grew up in that time, the Minnesota Wrecking
never
Crew,
saw them.
And they were the first, I think. They were first belt holders, and then...
Right. That's it. They were.
Yep, and 7 times, 992 days. It's really hard to not put them on the Mount
years,
Rushmore.
Right?
1975, man. 1975.
Yeah. And then also there's some of the other ones that I wanted to put on there too. Ricky Steamboat and Jay Youngblood, 5-time champions, 347 days total. I do remember a lot of Ricky and Jay, especially in the early Starrcade days in like the 84, 85 era, I think it was.
Honestly, before he got to the main card, like Flair and Valentine had it for
Rick and they had it at least twice, right?
That was my next one. Rick and Greg, 2-time champion, 286 days. Ric Flair and Greg Valentine were NWA Tag Team champions.
You never hear Flair talking to Valentine like positive. I never really hear about their time together. I wonder if they fell out as an aside. Like,
I don't know. I mean, I think it was like a lot of Flair's early career too, just kind of got thrown by the wayside. Nasty Boys, 3 times champions, 259 days. I know Dave's favorite tag team. All kidding aside, I love the Nasty Boys.
They do make me mad.
Well, they were right there with Harlem Heat. Like, they were the 2 tag teams that they used the Nasty Boys to put Heat over in that time too. So Nasty Boys, to me, are honorable mention. You have the Outsiders too. You have Hall and Nash, and Six kind of went in there too. They were when the NWO first started. Like, Hall and Nash, it was important. Hogan was the world champion. Hall and Nash were the tag team, and they didn't defend the titles all that much. So I could understand why people would be like, "Well, they shouldn't go on the mountain," and they did not on either any of our mountains. But they were another honorable mention too. And then you have like the one-timers, like the Hollywood Blondes, only 1-time world tag team champions, 169 days. You have Doom, only 1 time.
But they held it for a while. Doom did
282 days for a heel tag team. That was like a big deal.
Road Warriors,
like singles athletes like Marcus Bagwell. Like how many range Marcus, like different partners? Marcus,
right?
And of course the one that the elephant in the room, the fucking Road Warriors. Like they were just so over, because I think a lot of people probably thought when we were
they didn't need the title, Jess.
Yeah, they were only 1-time NWA tag title. They never won the WCW tag title ever.
It was almost 6 months too. Yeah. It was like 5 months, 155 days or so, right?
They only won the AWA tag titles, I think, once or twice. I mean, probably only once. I'm not looking at that stat sheet right now.
Yeah, they probably held the WWF titles longer.
They won the WWF titles more times than they did, but a lot of us remember the Road Warriors from the Crockett era and all that, and the AWA and all that stuff. But I think they won more WWF titles than they did WCW or AWA. So it's like
multiple partners. Arn Anderson won with Larry Zbyszko and Bobby Eaton also.
Yes. Oh yeah.
Rick won with a few different people.
Then we had Bobby Eaton and Arn Anderson. We had Arn Anderson and Larry Zbyszko. We had like there was just of course Arn Anderson being the common denominator, and he was on here with Tully. So there's so many really cool like honorable mentions that I could mention. But
Arn Anderson and Paul Roma, I didn't even know about that.
Yeah.
In 32 days. I didn't even know that happened.
That horse.
Arn Anderson's just picking up titles to everybody.
Yeah, so I mean the WCW, well, the WCW holds such a special place in my heart anyway, /NWA, just because we did an episode of the 7 wrestler theory, and one of my answers, I cheated, and I just said, like, I covet competition. And it's so important. Like, we all got watching wrestling because of the WWF. I don't think we can deny that at all. But like when I first met Joe, he turned me on to Crockett and this different style of wrestling that was not WWF, but it was an alternative. You had somewhere else to go. And it was really kind of at the end of the territories. You know, we didn't start watching wrestling in late 70s or early 80s, where you had AWA, you had Florida Championship Wrestling, you had Bill Watts' Mid-South, and then he turned that into UWF. You didn't have any of that stuff. We kind of started watching wrestling when UWF got bought. And there was really nothing left because Vince was destroying all the territories and he was buying up all the people. So we only really enjoyed NWA/WCW and WWF when we first started watching wrestling. So
it was the last hold of competition when WWF was taking over the world. Well, I say taking over the country because there was other stuff.
And every time they buy everybody out and they become the only one, we go into a wrestling recession. It's the truth. Like every time WWF or WWE is the only show in town, we go into some kind of weird wrestling recession. It happens because you need more than one. So I like doing the Mount Rushmores on these titles. It's kind of easy to do. Mount Rushmore of greatest wrestlers of all time. You know, everybody. It's so hard. Everybody's mountain's going to be different. It depends on when you grew up. Greatest tag teams ever. Like, you know, and then, it's only 4 spots or whatever. But I like doing the niche ones, like the TV title, the WCW/NWA.
It gives more mentions to other people that may not get it. And we should all be ashamed of ourselves that we did not select Pretty Wonderful at all. No,
if you're, I agree with that. You're right, though. You're right.
They're good too.
They were multiple time champions.
Back in his various parts.
Like 3, I think there were 3 times.
Stars and Stripes, fucking the Patriot and Bagwell. I'm not kidding. Like they were all like as we were growing
There's
up.
so much to choose from, you know? Yeah.
Yeah. So good episode. Awesome. I love it.
Yeah, man. I love it. Pretty wonderful. For audio fans, give us a listen on Apple, Spotify, and iHeartRadio, or watch our videos on YouTube at our wrestling channel. And you can look to the left for several options as well. Give us a follow on Instagram at O.W.P 2018 or on Facebook at Our Wrestling Podcast. For Jess, Craig, and myself, this is the O.W.P signing off. Have a good one.